All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Langbord, hoard of 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagles. The coin that, in theory, is supposed to be illegal to own. However, there's been some contradictory, thoughts on the matter. To kind of bring back the history a little bit of this insane collection. It helps sometimes to take a look, from the top down of what happened. So the Langbord family, spearheaded, of course, by the matriarch Joan Langbord and her two sons, had discovered 10 examples of this illegal to own 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle in a safe deposit box. Come to find out that Miss Langbord's father, Israel Swift, was the original individual that owned the collection of 10 double eagles. He was a renowned Philadelphia jeweler and coin dealer as well. But how he acquired the coins was a little bit fuzzy to this point because in 1933, President Roosevelt had actually made an executive order that they would no longer be distributing any gold from their government inventories, okay, which pretty much ended the overall usage and trading capability of gold during that time. Now, there was a funny, short, little 10, 11-year time span where people were still using gold. And somehow, some way, some of these 1933 double eagles ended up in the market. Mr. Swit actually acquired, by some mysterious way, 10 examples of this. Probably illegally, all right, because the coins were never supposed to be released. As a matter of fact, they were probably intended to be melted and forgotten forever. However, the contradictory part to this is that one example, by some kind of loophole in the, the standards that permits rare gold coins to be privately owned, an example ended up going to King Farouk of Egypt, all right, way back in 1944, I guess. And then another example was going to be auctioned through Stack's Auction House, okay, one of the oldest auction houses out there. And according to some folks, the coins might have been released in small numbers legally. However, there's a very fuzzy kind of timeline in which the executive order from President Roosevelt to when the actual order was carried out, where some of these were actually made public. As a matter of fact, our jeweler friend, Mr. Swit, tried to promote and sell some of the 1933 double eagles during that time. But going back to the good old Langbord acquisition of Mr. Swit's 10 1933 double eagles, they ended up finding these again in a safe deposit box. They promptly went and, because they were kind of curious at this point, let's go ahead and send these back to the government so that way we can get some authentication of whether or not these were supposed to exist or if these are real. And that they did not know would be the last time that they saw these coins. And this was back in 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. I think it was in 2005 where the government had pretty much confiscated it, had told the Langbord family that we're keeping these. And because of an act that was I guess, enacted in the year 2000. Let me see if I can find information on this particular act. So there's the Civil Asset Forfeiture Reform Act of the year 2000, all right, which was turn of the century. It was just a few years before the coins were even discovered in a safe deposit box. Government seizes property from private citizens and intends to retain it indefinitely. This is coming from Coin World, by the way. It can avoid the procedures, deadlines, and penalties set forth in the Civil Asset Forfeiture Reform Act of 2000 by merely asserting that the property was stolen from the government and declaring that it has no intention of seeking forfeiture. All right, which pretty much means you're SOL at this point. However, the Langbord family decided that's horseshit. I'm going to go ahead and retain a lawyer, and then we're going to go through the court system to obtain these coins back. All right, because they're there is all sorts of things going back and forth, like this is private property, this is mine, we didn't steal this, so on and so forth. And it was never traced as to the origin in which these were obtained by Mr. Swit. And considering that one example ended up in Egypt in a personal collection of King Farouk, they were using every single piece of ammunition in order to keep these coins in their possession. Now, in case you're kind of wondering, all right, there was an example that sold a few years ago. Let me see. So one example sold in a July 2002 auction. In case you're wondering how expensive these coins are, this is actually the King Farouk example, I believe. And it was actually, by the time it came back to the U.S., it was confiscated in 1996. So it was seized at that point. A long legal battle ended when the government and the dealer claiming ownership of the coin reached an agreement that permitted the coin to be sold at auction, with the two parties splitting the proceeds. Now, that's not exactly very governmentally-like. The coin eventually sold for $7.59 million in the 2002 auction. Yeah, and then pointed out officials have never disclosed why they agreed to allow the coin to be sold, and they continue to hold that no other examples can be owned. So it's sounding like a bunch of horseshit. I remember when this case came about. It was right when I came back into numismatics. I heard about this. I'm like, ooh, man, why did you have to disclose it and even send it back to a government office when 2003, you could have gone online and found the information on the 1933 St. Gaudens and know that you're not supposed to own it, and why would you send it back to the government knowing full well that they're worth in excess of $7 million a piece. But anyways, this was a big news story in the hobby around that time. And this is even before the recession hit, and this is when the market just exploded. Everybody was buying PMs like you wouldn't believe in 2010. I mean, this preceded the one sale by 7 years or 8 years or whatever it was. So you could only imagine how much that coin would be worth today, if and only if it was legal to own. Another thing to keep in mind is that there are two examples, I guess, that's housed at the Smithsonian, just to really kind of flex. It's I mean, they're beautiful coins, and it's just what do you do at this point? The government will no longer hear any sort of legal, whatever, and they've had the stance since 2016, and eventually the Langbord case is, I guess, dismissed, and then that's that, unfortunately. So they're still being held by the mint. It remains to be seen if they were destroyed which would be unfortunate. There's no way for these things to come back. Or if more examples were sent to the Smithsonian. Now, in addition to the 2 coins held by the Smithsonian, the 10 examples of Langbord and the coin owned by an unnamed party since its purchase in 2002. That's that $7.59 million example. They're saying that there's somewhere between like 13 to 20 examples. Now, I don't know where they got like 20. Actually, I said that. They're saying, it's around 13, 14 examples. At least one other 1933 double eagle is known to be held in an unnamed collection. The black market connection collection is what that one is. It is also uncertain whether the coin sold in 2002 truly is the Farouk coin or whether it is another piece with an unpublished pedigree. Jesus. The coin, I would imagine, if it were to be traded, would obviously be off the grid. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. There's just absolutely no way that someone would come out and say, oh, yeah, here you go, I got one, and then, end up being sought after by the government and having their coin confiscated, and then, there goes, 10, 11, 12, 15, $20 million. But yeah, this is a coin with a long, rich history that was not supposed to be, ended up as kind of a pretty cool little, I guess, history textbook type of entry into numismatics history in itself. And will this saga ever end? Well, as of right now, nobody's really talking about it until the next, I guess, unnamed example comes out. Whether or not it survives the watchful eye of the government and the mint remains to be seen, and if whether or not this coin is privately traded remains to be seen as well. But I figure I'd go ahead and talk a little bit about this. Never in my wildest dreams would I own a coin like this, but it's kind of crazy that things like this still exist out there. This is, of course, the most extreme example. I would venture a guess that if one was sold today, it would probably be in the record books as being the most valuable numismatic sale ever in the face of this earth. And that's going for every single world coin, every single U.S. coin. U.S. coins by nature has held, I guess, the highest value. But wow. Yeah, long, rich history that spanned for a number of years. And, what happened between 1933 and 1944 to allow a number of these to actually release from the mint when the executive order happened from President Roosevelt is just strange to me. And that until some sort of ledger or some sort of document comes out saying that, yeah, we sold 50 of these, or we gave them away to politicians and world leaders and things like that. Until something like that comes out, all right, this is going to be a coin that I guess I'm kind of happy to say is going to be quite the story and quite the mystery for years to come. Probably long after I'm gone, people will still be talking about this. So, I mean, it's really cool. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this little kind of throwback article that is very old at this point. We're 18 years old. Yeesh. And yeah, I guess we're going to find out if any more of these surface in the future. Probably not anytime soon, considering that the Langbord case went up in smoke, and it's someone had to be the scapegoat in this. And the Langbord collection, all 10 of its pieces, goodness gracious, ended up being the ultimate scapegoat of whether or not other individuals that own this coin want to actually sell it. Yeah, I doubt they even want to talk about it at this point. That's going to go ahead and do it. I'm Sean with Blue Ridge Hound. Blue Ridge Silver Horde. That's the next horde out there. So, yeah, just to let you guys know, there's lots of treasures still out there. The Saddle Ridge Horde, one of the more recent ones, was a pretty big one. All gold pieces and coffee cans. So it's good to dream. At the same time, never give up your hopes and dreams of finding your fortune. It can be out there in any capacity. That's it, guys. Sean with Blue Ridge. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.